Okay, TLDR. Once
Give me
again,
the TLDR.
I'm gonna smash through this real quick because I think most people are relatively across it. Long story short, Keem and H3H3. Keem is obviously reports kind of like YouTube drama. He's like a news channel. And H3H3 is just a big creator, does variety of content. Long story short, they have never really got along very well. They've always taken digs at each other. And about 2 or 3 weeks ago, long story short, a little bit of backstory. Years ago, H3H3 got into some like serious copyright disputes where someone was trying to dispute content, and they basically made it like a landmark case where it was trying to dispute the kind of ownership of content on YouTube. Long story short, H3H3 had a bunch of money donated to him to help fight that case. Now, 2 or 3 weeks ago, Keem was like, hey, I reckon H3H3 is like pocketing a lot of this cash and like didn't actually spend it all properly, because he said that they spent it all, that it all ran out, but like, look at all these things that should have given them like tens of millions of dollars. Like, this is all bad. Anyway.
And it got personal, right?
And
he was like, look at the house they're living in.
Oh, yeah. It's always personal. It's always personal. But then H3H3 was like, yep, okay, cool. I'm not going to take this lying down. And like, he put out a video called Content Nuke, Keemstar, where he basically went through Keemstar's long and flavorful career on YouTube over the past like 10 years almost, and basically just itemized every single bad thing Keem has done. And look, no one's perfect. Keem has probably had a few more. To be fair, it's the area he works in. Like, it's hard to stay out of drama when you're in that area. And Keem, if you're watching this, please don't do anything bad to me. But look, he's
I don't envy his job. Yeah.
No, but he's had things in the past which are, you know, objectively bad. Like, I think he said the N-word on stream. He's done some things where you can be like, okay, that's objectively bad. Now, a lot of the drama on this came down to H3H3. There was a YouTuber called Etika, who I believe last year, it was very sad. He had like a complete just mental, he basically was like manic. Like, he just had a complete mental collapse and ultimately ended in him killing himself, which was very sad. But essentially, during the time where he was having that mental collapse, Keem was making it very, very public on his news channel. And long story short, H3 in his video, to a point, levels a reasonable amount of the blame of Etika's passing onto Keemstar, saying that Keemstar, you know, made it a spectacle, pushed him to the brink, and, you know, basically made this happen. Now, this is where things get messy, and I think where things are not a win for either side, because ultimately, just everyone's a loser in this conversation, because you have people on both sides who are like, yep, what Keem did is wrong. Keem loses from that. But also at the same time, you have people just as kind of frustrated at H3 being like, don't use a tragedy that happened, like someone who was clearly in mental anguish, as like a weapon. Don't use their death as a weapon in your own personal dispute, which is a totally valid point to bring up. And to be fair, like, the one thing I will say in Keem's defense, once again, I don't think he dealt with the Etika situation well. There are some bad things that he did during that time. But I do think that trying to level everything that happened at him isn't necessarily fair. And also, there was there's text, like conversations between Etika's mum after he passed and Keem saying, like, I need you and your fans to know that this was not your fault. He loved your show. You were great. All that kind of stuff. But long story short, what's the fallout from this been? What's been the nuclear fallout from the content nuke that H3H3 dropped? Well, you've had Keem go back and fire back at H3, bringing up the like bad things that he said in his podcast in the past, which he's also said some bad things. Long story short, Keem lost his channel's longest, biggest sponsor, which was G Fuel. And then in addition to that, apparently H3H3, this isn't officially confirmed, and I'm skeptical on it. I'm only 50-50 because I've seen it, the screenshots that apparently leaked it looked questionable. Is he lost one of his big sponsors, Old Spice, when when Keem brought up all the drama. Now, it's still going back and forth. They're both still releasing videos on each other, digging into each other, bringing up more stuff. And yeah, it's just messy. I think it's really just an example of a time where YouTube drama really is just it's a lose-lose.